right, let's deal with these horns and see what we can do with them. Now, horns are always interesting because they're very dynamic, very brass, and very kind of harsh in some spaces. These sound like they were recorded really good. Sometimes I will come in and I will decrease just a bump down at like 3K, which is like typically where harshness kind of lives, is in that 3K range. So we're going to kind of preemptively kind of see what that is. And I like, this is another reason why I like Pro Q, is because they have this option called Make Dynamic, where you can actually basically turn just a regular EQ into a multi-band EQ that compresses those frequencies. So we're not going to do anything heavy. We're just going to keep it just like a dB, just to kind of preemptively, and we're even lessen the Q a little bit, so it's not, so it doesn't really affect us in that area. Let's bring the Q, because we don't need it that wide, just really like a notch, really, just to kind of bump out some 3K just for that harshness. Cutting out all the mud, of course, up to 100. 99.5 won't do. So we'll leave that like that just to keep the mud out. And let's kind of see what we're doing. Really not too much else to do to horns besides EQ, compress them, and add a little verb in, and let's see what we got with it. Very simple compressor, just 2A, gets the job done, gets in and out the way, dropping it in like that, nothing too heavy. But we're able to kind of get some real simple compression. I have a 3 dB rule on compression, unless it's something that really just needs to be smashed, that really needs some control. But to keep it from sounding compressed, that 3 dB rule, negative 3 dB rule, is kind of where I live at, because once it gets below negative 3 dB, you start to actually hear the compression, like audibly. It becomes noticeable. You know what I mean? Once you get into it, and I'll show you real quick. Watch this. Mixing is a very, very hard art to master. I know, because I've been trying to master this art for several years. That is one of the reasons why I do Mix Mondays. It's a learning environment, and every mix that I do, I learn something new. And I've taken everything that I've learned over the years, and we have poured it into our mixing templates. Mixing templates are a great starting place, and we have created several templates that allow you to get up and going quickly, and we have created them for Logic Pro X. We have created them for Pro Tools, for Studio One, for Ableton Live, and so many others. So if you're interested in taking your mixing to the next level, or even just getting started, make sure you check out these links down below in the description of this video and grab your template today. All right, back to the show. So hopefully you can hear that. So when I first had it open, it sounded really open. You couldn't really hear the compression. But as I bump the knob, and you get past negative 3 dB, you actually start to audibly hear that something is knocking it down. And it's something to be said about that big drastic jump when it goes from negative dB down to like negative 10. It's almost like grabbing a fader and just doing this real quick on a fader. You know what I mean? And you don't want that much compression, that noticeable of a dip in something that's going to be as in your face and as present as horns are. So I'm going to dial it back a little bit, of course, and just kind of stick with our 3 dB rule. That's just me. I know other engineers that 2 dB, some are negative 1, and it just depends on what you're trying to do. Some people do compression in layers. I'll get negative 1 here, I'll get another one, I'll get another negative 1 over here with this compressor, and I'll get another negative with this compressor. There's no right or wrong way to do compression. It's just make sure that you don't overdo it. That's the big thing with compression. So one thing, even if you notice, you probably saw me pull this up. It's like a little quad imager. Let's widen out the space. This is just something I use occasionally. I didn't use it. I play around with it to kind of see how I feel about it in the middle of the record. I didn't feel like it felt like it washed it out too much, because it depends again on what you're using imagers on. Imagers can be great when you're trying to create depth, when you're trying to create space. I still might find that I need it once I get vocals in, because vocals tend to live on the sides. And the way I have the horns panned, I have them panned in a way where we're going kind of left, right. And this one is, where's this going? Left. Then we got right. Then we got that one going back left and stuff like that. So, you know what I mean? They're living on the sides. And so that's where the vocals are going to live at as well. So I might find that, it feels like the vocals and the horns are clashing on the sides. And I got aux information over there as well. And I got other stuff that's living in that space. So what I can do is drop an imager in to just move that out a little bit further, so it kind of sets out on the sides a little bit more. I do that with my drums. I actually have that on the drums right now. And that's one of my tricks on getting wider drums, is to use an imager on the drums. You know what I mean? Like, because you can hear the difference when you're working through them. So if I pull this up, let's see, we solo the drums. I'm just going to show you this real quick, and then we're going to dig into the vocals on this and see how it's all the big picture sounded. So these are the drums. If I bypass them, it's not bad, but when I unbypassed it, the drums feel just a little bit bigger. You know what I mean? When you bypass, when you just put it, and that's the whole purpose of just creating. We're carving out space, and we're trying to get as much out of the middle out besides the kick, the drum, the kick, the snare, and the lead vocal. Claps, things that need to live in the middle. That's all it needs to be in the middle. Everything else needs to really just kind of be moved out of the way, so you got more space in the middle for the vocal. That's the goal, the objective that I'm trying to. Now, other mix engineers have their own method. I'm not stamping this as this is a rule on how you should do it. I'm just giving you a perspective. I personally try to keep as much out of the middle as possible. We're trying to keep that middle open, because that's where the star of the show is supposed to be, where the lead vocal is supposed to sit. So you want to carve out as much space in the middle as you can, so it doesn't get in the way, you know what I mean, of what you're trying to do in that space. You know what I mean? So it's gonna show up when we bring the lead vocal in, and he can sit in the middle, and he's got all the space to do whatever he wanted. He's the focal point, and everything else, you don't push everything hard to the side, then you have another problem. No, you gotta just create a stage, so to speak, and your vocal sits in the center stage. And those who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. Yo, I hope you enjoyed this exclusive clip from our Mix Monday live streams. We do these live on Monday nights, so make sure you grab the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss it when we go live. If you want to check out more of these, check out this playlist right over here. And if you're interested in taking your mixing or production to the next level, check out the templates and the links that we have below. I'll talk to you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.